Welcome to the Sanctuary Community Holidays podcast, produced by me, Noah Bakur, with Claire Ashwheeler and Rachel B. In this podcast, we explore the amazing connections that happen when asylum seekers and refugees come and stay in rural areas for a few days. We hope you will be inspired to get involved and make a holiday happen in your area. Happy listening.
Hello, I'm Claire Ashwheeler and I am a founder of Chagford Hospitality Network and Sanctuary Community Holidays. Welcome to the Sanctuary Community Holidays podcast, welcoming strangers, host and asylum seeker experiences, stories of hosting and hope. I'm with Noah Bakur, one of our SCH team behind the camera and recording this podcast. Today my guests are Kirsty, John, Lucy and Toby. They have all hosted asylum seekers in their home for a 5-day CHN holiday based in Chagford, Devon. Hear now about their experiences, tips, and the positive impacts. We hope you'll be feeling inspired to get in touch with us and make a holiday happen too. Please contact us on www.sanctuarycommunityholidays.uk.org. Let's make it happen. You've all hosted asylum seekers in your own homes for a 5-day holiday for CHN in Chagford, Devon, offering them a bed to stay in, breakfast each day and a friendly chat at the end of the day, after they had been out all day on activities in the area which were provided by our activities team. So we're curious to know what inspired you to host 2 asylum seekers in your own home?
Personally, the year before, I'd done an activity with them, pottery, and that had been quite joyful and enthusiastic. And so when I was asked the next year whether we could host, I suppose I was negative. I couldn't think of a reason why not, rather than thinking as a positive thing, because the year before had been so entertaining for everyone, and I've got loads out of it too, and I thought hosting would be good.
Yeah, so I got to know some of the guests the year before when they came to do the pottery, and we had a lot of conversations whilst they were doing the pottery, and I really wanted to have them in my own home, which I felt was an opportunity to get to know them a lot better over a longer period of time, and it was wonderful, yeah.
I'm trying to remember, because we've done it 3 times now, so I can't think back to the first time as to... I think we were probably asked, but the reason we said yes was 2 things, I think. We said yes because we'd got a lot out of doing workaways and woofers, where people come and stay in the home and do work for you, which is not the case with the holidays, obviously, but we got used to that and got a lot from doing it, really. And the other is that it does seem to me, whatever your views on migration, it's crucial that we remain capable of treating people as human beings, giving them individual respect, and having a chance to do that was important.
I think I did it because it was such a good idea to offer holidays to people who had nothing and were probably living in almost destitution on the streets of Bristol. And it just seemed an opportunity to give something to somebody else that I had and wasn't going to cause me any pain to share. And I was going to get a lot out of it, which is what I eventually found I did.
Oh, that's lovely. Really like all your different answers, and so personal and different. Thank you. But it's a big thing, it's a big ask to have people you don't know come into your home, strangers, and no matter how good you might think the idea is, or if you're used to it from having other kind of work away or people helping you, it's still a big ask. So what were you nervous about? What were your concerns?
I think I felt nervous every time I've done it, and I've done it at least 3 years. And I think it's not knowing the person who's coming to your house. So before they arrive, you feel worried about who they are and what they're going to be like, and will you get on with them, and how will it feel sharing your house for a week. But when they come, you realise that they're probably more nervous than you are, and quite quickly, within a couple of days, you all start to relax, and then you start to make friends with them. And every single time we've found interesting people who've come from different parts of the world, who've seen things that we haven't seen no other places, and the sharing between us and them is just so worthwhile. So I think I've got an awful lot out of it.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
I mean, I think it is natural to be nervous about having someone you've never met in your home, and I think everybody feels that, but it's just, I mean, I think we, all 4 of us, would say that the experience has always been so positive, and that the rewards for that, it is a slight sort of leap in the dark, because, as Kirsty was saying, you don't know them at all, but and you're bound to therefore feel nervous about whether you should do it. But the rewards are very great indeed. And the thing I was always most anxious about is, will you connect? And the answer is you will, but it may take you a few days, depending on how nervous they are, exactly what their experiences have been before they arrived. Because in 1 year we had people who didn't even know they were coming until that day, and it took them 2 days to really acclimatise. But you will connect.
The other thing that I've just remembered as John was talking was that some of them don't speak very good English, and that's a bit of a worry, because you think, will I be able to communicate with this person? But in fact you can. It's easy to point to things or just second guess things, and they can too, and before long you find yourself communicating really well.
And there's Google Translate.
And there's Google Translate.
Yes, I was worried that I wouldn't get things right for them, and that I would make sort of faux pas, or I might offend them in some way, culturally or religiously, but I didn't need to worry. In fact, by the end of the week, they were teasing me, that I wasn't pronouncing their name correctly, and it was very relaxed, and we thoroughly enjoyed being together. And I'm sure I did make some mistakes, but they'd let me know, and it was very relaxed.
Sounds like they really relaxed if you were having that kind of connection.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah.
I think I was worried about saying the wrong thing or triggering memories that didn't want to be triggered. And I think the first couple of days I was very nervous about that, but then after that, I mean, I tend to get up early, and I would come downstairs and read my book or whatever, and one of our guests came down too early, before breakfast, and he would sit there playing, in this case, Moroccan music, and I would sit there reading a book, and it was actually lovely. The one thing that I found difficult is that he wanted to tell me a bit about what had happened to him, why he was in the situation he was in, but our mutual language skills weren't good enough to do that, and I think we were both frustrated. So although I knew I shouldn't ask him, he wanted to tell me, and I couldn't quite get there, and that was a bit sad, but also it was lovely that he wanted to share that as well, and felt relaxed enough and comfortable enough to share that.
From you being so nervous to him then really trusting you, that's a real compliment.
Yes. I mean, they were very skilled communicators. I think I got the impression that those skills had to be learnt over many years. They were very, very good at integrating.
They were. Yes, because I think they quickly realised that I'm a bit of a mother hen, and they were a similar age to my children. So I went into that role of sort of fussing over them, and did they have their coat and had they cleaned their teeth? And,
What age were they?
They went along with it very graciously. And I think they enjoyed.
How old were they?
They were in their 20s, maybe 30. But I think they enjoyed being looked after and having the pressures taken away and being. They were able to be childish with us, and I think.
I don't think we'd anticipated that, had we? That our role would be much more. I think we thought there'd be adults like we were adults, but the relationship became very much parents with grown-up children. Partly because that was what we were used to, but it just settled into that. Whether it would every time, I don't know.
I think it varies, and it depends on the age of the asylum seeker who comes to live with you, and how long they've been in this country and how good their English is.
Yes.
So we've had some very young people, similarly got into that role.
Yes.
And very much wanted to protect them and make them safe.
Yes.
And one of those young people didn't speak very good English at all, hardly said a word. And when we played football down at the recreation ground, he made a real connection with other young people who were there playing snooker.
Lovely.
And after that, he began to talk more, not so much, but a bit more. And I've heard since that he's now much more confident in his English and involved in other community activities.
That's so nice. Just tell us how you know that. Do you still stay in touch?
I know that, no, I don't stay directly in touch with him, but he works with a friend of my son's girlfriend. Do you follow that? So he's working on a community farm, and her friend runs the community farm.
Perfect.
And so Rose is in touch with him, and she tells us.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Thinking of those connections, did any of you stay in touch with any of your visitors, your guests?
Yes. Well, we were lucky because they did pottery with us, and we needed to return the pottery to them. So we had that reason. And also, my daughter, who's an artist, she painted their portraits, which was a lovely way of making them feel special, and they were very excited about this. And so we had to return those to them too. And so we have kept in touch, yes.
The other thing is that, I mean, we visited them in Bristol, and when there's a community event on Mondays, and what was nice is that we saw lots of the people, and because I'd done pottery with them, and because I'd been down here when they'd been fooling about in the afternoon, I knew lots of people, and also people from the previous year as well. And they came and told me what had happened to everybody, and that was really nice. You felt not part of the community, but involved and perhaps slightly important in some respects.
Well, we were so welcomed by them, and you realise that it's a very two-way thing. They give so much to us, and we mean so much to them, and they go away with memories and feeling refreshed and feeling that they matter, and so that's what we're aiming for, really.
And it sounds like you might have been surprised by those feelings. Can you tell us what you were surprised about with hosting? What came up?
I didn't expect to make a connection with people who were staying with us for just 1 week so quickly and so strongly. And although we didn't stay in touch with that young person, others have emailed and contacted us since. So it varies what kind of connection you make, but I was very surprised at how strong that connection was.
I think I was worried about the power dynamics getting in the way of normal human contact. You know, we have a house, we're providing something they haven't got, which they need, in inverted commas, and I just thought that would get in the way. But it didn't. I think the human connections were stronger than that, and almost, I don't know, I can't say that they did, but I forgot about everything else. They were just people that I knew who were staying with me, and we got on, and it was companionable and kind of lovely in lots of respects, and we learned lots. And it felt much more natural than I thought it would.
Yeah. But they were so generous in how they taught us about their food and their culture and their religion. So they didn't. I was worried about upsetting them or triggering them. But actually, there were some topics of conversation which were really safe, and the food especially was it was fascinating. We learned so much.
Your guests were from Bangladesh
And Morocco.
And Morocco.
Yeah.
Did they cook for you? Did you cook for them?
They did.
They had one fantastic breakfast. When they both decided they were going to cook pancakes. So it was more or less a sort of bake-off event. So we had these two contrasting pancakes in the morning. It was funny.
It was such fun.
But it was, and I think that was one of the great. It was the humour of it all.
They could see how much we were enjoying it.
Well, yes.
There was one time they found some children's puppets in our house and started being really childish with the puppets, and it was just wonderful to see them relax, because you knew what they'd had such awful times, and it was lovely to see them really relax.
We're just fooling about.
And it was fun.
I think food and laughter is such a connecting thing. It doesn't always need language either, does it? Don't have to speak the same language. What about you, John? Did you cook together?
No, we cooked 4, I would say, each time.
Yeah.
I think our people were much more into the idea they were having a bed and breakfast experience. It has to be said, which is interesting, because when we do workaways, it's all about sharing cuisine. But no, both years, not really much interest. Well, we had people for the whole week in actually cooking and sharing cuisine. But then there's always another point of connection. So music, obviously now you can stream music, has always been something that's worked. And the other is sport. So this time they came in the middle of the Euros. So it's particularly because we only had men, and they were mad about football, so they just wanted to see every game, which was fine by me, frankly.
And your guests were Kuwaiti and Myanmar?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And I think your guests were Chinese and Moroccan?
Chinese and Moroccan this time, Afghan and Sudanese before, and Ghanaian once. Both of them were from Ghana, so quite a mixture of different countries and traditions and cultures.
And food? Did you have food experiences?
Yeah, we did, with one particularly who was very keen to make breakfast, similar to you. And my husband is a keen cook, so the two of them made breakfast together every morning, and that was lovely. We had a really good time making breakfast.
Lovely. These are great stories. Really, thank you for sharing them. So good. Was there any surprises that you didn't expect that might have been challenges as well?
I mean, we noticed some behaviours we weren't expecting, and so one of our guests slept on the floor, another guest changed the bedding for his own bedding, and also wanted to wash all the cutlery and crockery before he ate off it. And so, you could think, oh gosh, how embarrassing, It's obviously very uncomfortable bed, so it's obviously really filthy in this house. But actually, I think it was just what they needed to do for their own reasons. And you just go with it. And by the end of the week, you can say, are you all right on the floor? And it's fine. But yeah, there are a few surprises along the way. But you just quietly wonder to yourself.
They have very different personalities, our two, and they would tease each other a little bit.
Yeah.
So I suppose that was a challenge, because you felt that you were slightly juggling personalities as well, but it worked because everyone wanted it to work. But that was a concern at one point, I think.
We had quite an age gap between the last two we had. So one was in his 50s, which is the oldest person we've ever had, and one was about 20. So they came from a totally different world experience and from different parts of the world, so they didn't automatically connect. But by the end, they had made friends with each other. So it wasn't just us connecting, it was them as well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the really nice things to see when people don't know each other that well, is how much they connect by trying to help manage the relationship, and particularly through like translation or explaining customs or what's going on. And to be honest, the biggest challenge in some ways is what you would expect with any young adult now, being in an old person's home. So like phones are all of the time, at every moment you're trying to talk to someone, and they're also unable to put the phone down. But that is just the world we live in now. So and also you can understand much more, in a sense, that it is such a crucial connection for them with family and with home often, but nonetheless distracting.
I think one of the things I found hardest, not the last time but the time before, we had somebody who was very, very young and had not that long ago left his family behind, and I kept thinking of his mum, and that was really hard, just thinking about how she must be feeling. So there's a lot of emotion that comes into it.
I felt that too, because I was so aware that they were a similar age to my own children, but then I thought, there are these awful things going on in the world that I have no control over, and it's just wonderful to be able to give 5 days of peace and love to these lovely people. And it's not much, but it's something that I can do. So
I just found the way they threw themselves into happy events just endlessly inspiring. So when they were fooling about in the swimming pool, doing all sorts of things they weren't supposed to do, and when they were fooling about on a boat in a lake, again doing all sorts of things they weren't supposed to do, it was just so full of joy and you thought, these people have gone through really unpleasant experiences, but when they're jumping inappropriately into the deep end of a swimming pool or fooling about standing up in a boat, you just thought, actually they're just
young, they're young men having fun, which is what
and
any young man from any part of the world would be doing.
And I think that was actually and precious.
That's very moving to hear, because it's wonderful to hear how quickly you can make the connections, people they've never met, you've never met them, you'll welcome them into your home, you're trusting each other, big ask, and so quickly you can become friendly, friendships grow, and fun can be happen, funny exchange that you'd have with long-term friends. I always find that, like you say, so inspiring, and a surprise and refreshing.
For us, I think the inspiration is that these people, mostly young men who come here for their holidays, are so open to us
Yes.
and so accepting of us, which
Yeah.
that has really
Yeah.
made a deep impression on me.
Yeah.
The other thing is you learn quite quickly that they're immensely skilled in all sorts of ways. I mean, I remember not the year we were hosting, but the previous year, there was one lad who had just arrived and was quite angry with the world in many respects. And an older one was, from a completely different nationality, was just counselling him.
Right.
And this, you watched, the counselling skills that were going on.
Yeah.
That was quite impressive as well. And then you got the sense that this is a group of people in a difficult situation, but they're helping each other.
I guess they've lived more in their short years than we
Well,
have
yes,
in
yes.
our long ones.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
But it was lovely just to have the opportunity for a short few days to make them feel welcome, wanted. They really, really matter. Yeah, absolutely. And
To make us feel wanted too.
completely. They really, it's as though they recognised our need as well. They were so kind to us and made us feel so wonderful and appreciated. And
It sounds like you've just expressed all the kind of rewards you might not have expected would have come out of this,
absolutely.
but do. And you, right from the beginning of this conversation, you've been saying that, expressing that. It's wonderful to hear that. I find that very moving. And for other people who are thinking of hosting and dare they dip their toe into the river to try it, all your responses have been so positive. I'm sure there were moments when it wasn't so much, but
I suppose you're not actually risking anything very much. There isn't very much to lose. They're there overnight and then they're taken off for activities all day and then you pick them up late in the evening. It's not actually a huge amount of time.
I was going to say that. It is important to stress that it is, one of the surprising things is how easy it is, because it is bed and breakfast.
Yes.
It's not, we do get involved in some of the other activities, but that isn't the hosting part.
That's just
separate.
choice.
That's choice, exactly. And
I felt very, very supported. And I felt I was able to do it well because of that support. It didn't feel overwhelming.
I think the briefing is very important, that you understand some of the basic things that make sure it's possible to avoid silly faux pas of not understanding different cultures.
Yeah, there are some avoidable mistakes.
And that you help us to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And if there are issues, every so often little things do go a bit wrong in the group as a whole. But there are other people who will deal with that. That isn't our problem. Our problem is just the bed and breakfast bit. And that was important. We were having our hands held at all the time, really.
Last time, the older asylum seeker we had decided on the last day when you all went to the seaside together that he would stay in Chagford and visit all the shops in the town and look around. And he was just lovely. He had the most wonderful day doing that. And I wonder if that was because he was a bit older and he enjoyed more the community feel. He was also probably from a rural part of the world, and this is a rural place, and that was very special to him. So it just depends on what people like doing, doesn't it?
Because we noticed that our guests did get very tired.
Yes.
Because very tired, but didn't want to stop because they needed the distraction and didn't want to think about things they didn't want to think about. And therefore, there was this balance between being very tired and very busy.
They didn't necessarily know each other very well before the week. I think I'd anticipated that they would all know each other, but actually when they came down here, they didn't. So socially for them, it was probably very exhausting.
And it's very full on, the programme.
Yeah.
We had someone who bailed out for a day and was ill.
Yeah.
But that was actually no real problem because he looked after himself and performed being ill. I wasn't entirely sure how ill he was, but he wasn't the problem. He just looked after himself and spent a lot of the day on his phone, I think, to be honest. But so even little crises are quite easy to manage.
Well, maybe if you're a bit more of an introverted person after a few
I think
days,
it was too much for him.
So you need a break, and everybody's different, and so some people just opt out.
Yeah, I think some people, they do need to rest back at the host houses, and so it was lovely that when we could listen to their music, so we could just, because it must be exhausting speaking, trying to be understood in a different language. That must be very, very tiring, and so we can all sit and listen to the same music, and that's relaxing. So I think that's something to bear in mind, is not to always have to have deep conversations the whole time.
Yeah.
And we do
Watching
provide
Sport and music.
sport, music, food, and
that's effortless time together, isn't it?
Yeah.
But also the children's puppets were just...
It's funny.
They were funny because they provided just a...
We don't all have puppets.
Well, no.
Make a few puppets.
Well, no, I'm afraid we're a bit like that.
So some of the asylum seekers who've stayed with us haven't really wanted to talk when they've come back. They've been very tired and they've just wanted to go to bed. So you have to take your cues from them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's a good piece of advice.
Yes.
And thinking about the things that we've done, the group have done, to support you, preparing you, being available, Q&As, things like that. Just to recap what we do, we offer a host cream tea where we invite all the hosts about a week or two before your guests come, which mostly you don't know them, and even we might not know who they are because things can change back at the asylum seeking agency before they actually come to us. So we provide a kind of go-around, and we remind you of what's in the hosting guidebook, handbook, which I would have already brought to you in your homes and gone over with you, literally sentence by sentence, so you've got questions we can answer and any concerns. So we do that sort of collectively as hosts, and you also get to know each other, because you might not know each other in the village hosting. So we do that. We do, as I said, the kind of guidebook that we go through in detail. And then we're available throughout the week, and we try to update you with the timings of things which might change during the week. Can you pick up your guests a little later or a little earlier? And you've all been so flexible. We really appreciate that, and that is an ask. And then about a week after that, we had a get-together back here for those who could make it, for a sort of feedback session collectively, although we do give you a feedback form as well to fill in. So there's lots of opportunities to build your confidence and hopefully your trust in us, because ultimately you're trusting us that this is going to work. And I think your evidence from what you've been saying that it really does.
Oh, it does. I'm really looking forward to doing it again.
It felt like the whole week had been put together and tweaked and tweaked and tweaked so that it worked, and it was, you felt like you were just part of a well-oiled machine, which made life very easy. But there were also things built in that were lovely. So, for example, when you drop off in the morning, and there are various games they're playing, and you know that soft time when you're dropping off, that soft time when you're picking up, you see everyone in context, and you can chat, and that's very helpful as well, and that's been built in because it works. I don't know. It just felt very, very well put
And
together.
this was the first year where we also had the chance to cook a meal at home one of the evenings, and I thought that worked really well. And in some ways it could almost happen earlier, because it's a very good way to connect because I think it was the Thursday. And, if it were a little earlier in the week, if there were any connection problems, it would help you get round that. Probably not at the beginning, because then they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
But that was really nice. But but also it's nice that it does evolve, and that you tweak it in response. I think various people had suggested that would be a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, you do use the feedback forms because we have seen changes in the programme and the way you do things as a result of comments from people each year. So you've learned, and as a result, it's got better.
Thank you. That's what I love about the project as well. From our point of view as a team, we're always doing the tweaking, the fine-tuning, how to improve your experiences, make you feel comfortable and safe, and how to help the guys, mostly they are guys coming, to understand what their dietary needs are, their medical needs, their nationality, their age. All of that helps for us to get to know them better and how to support the whole project, really, make it run smoothly.
Yeah.
It's been a privilege for me to be part of the organising team year after year. It gives me so much energy, as it did whenever I host people as well. It's surprising. You think it'd be tiring.
You would.
But actually, like you say, it's bed and breakfast and then the evening. And it's like, can't wait to hear how your day went.
Yes.
But they're often quite tired, so the evening is actually, with them, is quite short.
Quite short.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So it sounds like you would all, would you all host again, do you think?
Definitely. Like Lucy, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's the highlight of my year. It's such a special thing to do. I've got so much out of it.
And I think we all get to know each other as well. So that's a link between all the people who host, which is quite nice. We become a little community too.
Yes. Yeah, I feel that as well. And the little get-togethers we have really help build that community to support the asylum seekers as well.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something, John, about
whether
you
I was
would
going to
host?
say yes, we will. I was going to say that there was one of the years where it was quite challenging, and yet it didn't in any way make me think not to do it, because you could see exactly why it was. These were the people who didn't know they were coming. They were in hotels. They didn't know each other. And it was just there were a couple of places, and they happened to be in the centre that morning. And by the end, it had been one of the most rewarding experiences, because despite all of that, they connected with each other, and they connected with us through, again, music and sport more than anything. So I think, yes, there's always going to be rewards in it, even when it is challenging.
Any tips that you would give to people thinking of hosting? What tips or advice, recommendations would you offer?
I found it very useful to talk to people who had hosted themselves. That was really useful and reassuring and encouraging. And I wanted to know if I shouldn't do it, But I'm glad I did. Yeah.
I think you shouldn't make any assumptions beforehand. Just be open-hearted, open-minded, and see who comes.
One thing you did was we just had immense amounts of fruit. and so there was just this big bowl with huge amounts of fruit, and that kind of got you out of the what do people like eating, not like eating, because everyone likes fruit.
That's my mother hen side. I like people to be healthy, and nutritious.
Actually, that reminds me that I think sometimes you have to. We've had the young man who liked cooking his breakfast, and he had quite big breakfasts, and John and he cooked them together. And then we've had others who didn't want to eat at all. So you just have to do whatever suits them, and you quite quickly work out between you what they want to do.
Yeah.
So
it's there if they want it.
It's there if they want it.
I think that's what I mean. It's just having a go-to.
Help yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any recommendations, John?
No, I don't think so. I mean, as I say, it is much easier than you would think. I think it's a great idea, as Lucy says, to talk to people who've done it, but it's not strange and challenging thing you might imagine. It's very easy, and
Yeah.
they will, the mutual respect is part of it, and that seems to me to be built into the whole idea of exchanging your home, and people do recognise that and value it.
I think, in a sense, because they've spent years thrown together as a completely disparate community, they're extraordinarily skilled at getting on with people, not upsetting people. I think they have huge interpersonal skills.
I think if you took two young, probably men from this country to stay in your house, they wouldn't be half as polite as the young men that we've had.
I would agree with that.
But they've learned that.
Yeah.
They've learned that because they've formed. Well, maybe.
But also
everyone.
maybe they're from more traditional cultures where it is important to be polite and considerate to people who are offering hospitality. And we have lost that a little bit.
Yes, because I knew I would be very interested in them, but they were so interested in us. They wanted to know all about our families and everything about us, and I really enjoyed that. Actually, I really enjoyed these people who are so interested in us, and it was very, very two-way. I felt we got to know them very quickly, very well.
We're just sort of coming to the end of the conversation, and it's been wonderful. Is there anything any of you would like to throw in there that maybe we haven't asked about or covered, or something that has come up for you that you want to put into the mix right now?
Well, I mean, one thing you might not want it, but I mean, one thing is that people are likely to not have all the things they need. And so it's, in fact, obviously the network does a lot to provide, but it's worth anticipating the possibility that they want to go swimming and haven't got any swimming equipment. They don't have a towel, they haven't got adequate rainwear for Dartmoor, which is not the, or footwear for Dartmoor. And we haven't found that a problem, but it's worth thinking ahead.
So right from the beginning I said to them, you just, this is your home while you are here, you ask me anything that you want or need. And they did, actually. You gave them some tracksuit bottoms, and we gave them a coat, and somebody else had some deodorant, and and it was lovely. I felt so delighted that they were asking, because that meant that they had confidence, and I was really pleased about that.
That was one thing that you'd suggested we did, was to have shampoo, toothpaste and bits and bobs like that. And that absolutely delighted our last two hosts. It was like giving them an enormous Christmas present.
Yes, and I insisted that they took it away with them afterwards.
Yes. It was
It's just like a hotel, really.
But it was
Did you use little miniature ones?
It is those little treats that they don't get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think in your kindness and your generosity and your trust help build so much confidence that they can go away feeling that somebody cares about them.
Yeah.
And that can be an unusual thing when you're in this asylum system that can seem so heartless and cold and long and challenging and scary. And they come into your homes and into this community, because it's not just your lovely homes, it's a whole community that's offering hospitality. Whether it's cakes and salads and meals, or sports evenings and music evenings here. And it's amazing how
that was interesting when they were walking round Chagford. Lots of people would have positive conversations, not just the hosts.
People saying hello, and because we're a little rural community and everybody does know each other and talk to each other, and that was important.
Well, thank you. It's been absolutely inspiring listening to your experiences and helpful as well.
Good.
And really hearing your stories and laughing together. It's been a real privilege. And we hope that these stories will inspire people to create their own holidays in their areas across the country and to build these connections that you've been talking to us about today, because obviously it's a wonderful, heartwarming thing to experience, and we want more people to experience it, and more asylum seekers and refugees to know what we can be like. So visit our website at sanctuarycommunityholidays.org.uk, and please do reach out to us. Let's make it happen this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome, Aham. Today I'm interviewing Aham, who is a Syrian refugee now, but he was an asylum seeker when he came to be hosted in Chagford, Devon, with Chagford Hospitality Network a few years ago, about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So really lovely to see you again. Thank you for being interviewed for us today. And we just want to hear from you how you felt when you heard about the opportunity to go on a holiday and stay in rural Devon, having stayed and living in Bristol as an asylum seeker. What did you feel when you heard about the holiday?
I felt it's time to do some adventure. It's time to meet some more new people, and I was already involved in lots of voluntary job around Bristol, mostly in organizations who work closely with the refugees and asylum seekers, and I felt like I want to go and discover the countryside, meet new people, see how beautiful the country is, and it is, it's stunning.
So that takes quite a lot of courage to step outside what you know in Bristol in an urban area, come to a rural area. You didn't know your hosts, you might have known their name, but you knew very little about them, just as they knew very little about you. So that's quite a big risk. It could be quite nervous-making. You might have had some concerns.
Because it's in a partnership between CHN, Chagford Hospitality Network, and BHN, Bristol Hospitality Network, which we trust. And it's an organization that's been has been created, founded, to cover certain needs in asylum seekers society. We trust that charity, and it means a lot to us. So we know that if they are taking us to somewhere, it will be a nice experience. It will be good for us.
I think trust is a really important word, isn't it? And it's true, you do need to trust, even though you're not sure where you're going or what will be involved. Were there any surprises for you when you got to your host home in the middle of rural Devon?
The only surprising thing was how amazing they were, all of them. How warm and nice people they were. We expected nice people, but not that much.
Was language a barrier? You hadn't been in the UK that long, and your English might not have been as good as it clearly is so good these days.
Language could be a barrier, depends on the person. Language is never a barrier if you want to learn quickly, if you want to just throw yourself out there and just like, this is the only way to learn. It takes courage, and no, it's not. It wasn't a barrier. It's they were all the time, always. All our hosts very nice to us. They were trying to chat all the time, make it a nice holiday, the best they can. So they were just like interested in hearing about all different cultures and backgrounds. So we had great times, and we practiced a lot of English, and with amazing people. They are so keen to hear and listen.
I'm sure they were, and also they were probably really keen to make you feel comfortable in their home, to make everything just right for you. How long did it take till you felt comfortable cooking with them, for instance?
I believe less than 3 days. Yeah.
And it was 5-day holiday, so
Yeah, it was
3
5
days in.
Yeah. So 2 days in, straight to the kitchen.
Do you remember what you cooked?
We've made. Well, at that time I wasn't a good chef. At that time I didn't work as a professional chef, but then I did. We made some traditional Syrian food, and it wasn't a good version of traditional Syrian food at that time. Now I could do much better. We made some hummus. We made some baba ganoush. Me and a friend of mine. What else we made? I believe we made some. What was it? Anyway.
It sounds delicious.
Yeah.
I'm feeling hungry just hearing it, actually. And of course, you were hosted, they gave you bed and breakfast, and then they took you to where the activities were each day. And then at the end of the day, they would see you in the evening and have a drink with you before you went to bed. So it's not a lot of time for the host. So the majority of your day was doing activities like walking on Dartmoor, things that had been arranged by the activities team with CHN. So that was swimming in the local pool and playing rounders with the community down at the recreation ground, playing music together, going to the seaside, quite a few every day, different activities, but with the whole group of 20 of you. And you might not have known all of those people. What was the feeling like with the group of the asylum seekers as a whole?
The feeling as a whole, the whole group? Well, I don't think I would be able to answer this. I could answer for myself. What it felt to me, but what I sensed from everyone that they all just loved it. They didn't want to go back to Bristol, so it's a good sign. Everyone, just like including me, we all loved it.
Yeah, everybody joined in with everything going on. And it seemed to me like there was a lot of laughter and joy during that time for the asylum seekers and for the community in Chagford, because it wasn't just the hosts who were contributing things. There were people who helped drive us to the activities outside of the village. There were people who made cakes for our tea or salads or helped with the meals. There was a whole range of things that people could get involved with apart from hosting.
And they know that this is for refugees as well. So they did it for this. And because they are the best people.
I think it made people feel really good that they could do something, because a lot of things that we hear in the media make us feel very not able to make a difference to those people who are struggling and suffering. So this was a small thing to do to contribute to the well-being of the asylum seekers.
I mean, if lots of others took you as an example and did something similar, that will contribute a lot. That will do a lot. I mean, it's at the end it's a town and it's limited. So, but it's contributing a lot. In the well-being and in lots of, I mean, not just well-being. It impacted positively lots of lives. In a long run and in a short run, and
Can you say a couple of things about how it impacted you after you went back to Bristol? The holiday impacted you in a positive way?
Well, I came back to. In 5 days, I changed a lot. In 5 days, I learned a lot, and I came back to Bristol. Someone a bit like different than the person who left Bristol, and I kept in touch with my hosts, lovely family, and they were so amazing, and they wanted to just keep in touch, and they wanted to help.
They took an interest in your future after that, if you stayed in touch?
Sorry?
They were interested to stay up to date with your future because you stayed in touch.
Yeah. They wanted to do that, and for us, they were so nice to us. They wanted to help more and more and keep updated with the future and what's gonna happen and next. And for us, it was like family. Yeah, it felt like, yes, it felt like the closest family to me. I don't know about my friends, but I'm sure, yeah, some of them. And having our families far away, some of us, it felt like a big thing. It's not just like an opportunity to be exposed to different people. Yeah.
And from having spoken to hosts, people who hosted other asylum seekers in the village, they've spoken so much of what a reward it is for them to have people like yourselves come into their homes and have the cultural exchange and conversations across the table, sharing food, helping out around the house and doing jobs together. And that has made a big impression of them, because often the hosts feel quite nervous as well about who's going to walk through the door. I don't know who you are, but you're from another country I've never been to.
Sharing the space, yeah, for both, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it's often said that they really feel so rewarded and thankful for the experience, which is lovely to hear.
And I would love to hear about that and what made them feel like that.
Yeah, it's an exchange on so many different levels.
Yeah.
So if you were to give some tips to other asylum seekers thinking of having this opportunity to come on a holiday in a rural area, are there 2 things you would recommend for them?
If you don't mind just saying the last part of the question.
So with your experiences of having taken the opportunity to come on the holiday, what would you say to other asylum seekers who were given the opportunity to come on a holiday? Would you suggest 2 things you'd recommend they do?
If they came, yeah, first thing I recommend they come. Yeah, some people, they decided not to come because lots of reasons, yeah. I recommend that, it's a general thing, but it could be even like, it could be helpful, just like be open. Be open to everyone, to everything. Just hear from the others, take and give. And, this is a very general thing. I would say try to make the most out of it. Try to tell who you are, hear about people, like get to know everyone and everything, which because it's a special opportunity. It's something like doesn't repeat itself all the time. So just try to learn from that. Try to make contacts if you can. Try to keep in touch. Try to make friends.
These are good tips. Really like how you're saying that and encouraging people to step into the space.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Before we finish up, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Come for the holiday, come to enjoy, because it's heaven here. It's truly heaven. In the crowd of the city, sometimes you feel anxious, sometimes you feel panic, sometimes it's too hectic. Just like whenever you want to come down to your nature, whenever you want to slow down, this is a great opportunity. It's something lots of people, they would love to do all the time, and it's a wonderful opportunity, just like to do something good for your soul. So do it, yeah.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Ayhan.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to know more about Sanctuary Community Holidays, please visit our website on www.sanctuarycommunityholidays.org.uk, and let's make a holiday happen in your area soon.